listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author Sarah Box, where you get the inside scoop on the steps action takers and decision makers take to align their purpose to their principles and achieve their goals in business and life. We focus on the mantra, no labels, no limits, no excuses. And now, without further ado, please welcome your commanding coach with plenty of chutzpah and heart, Sarah Box.
Hi there, and welcome to this episode of the No Labels, No Limits podcast, the podcast all about shedding our limiting labels and beliefs so that we can live true to who we were created to be. This week, we are joined by Petia Kolibova, and you are going to love learning about Petia. I have done some reading about her. I've written her bio, and in just even our quick little pre-go live recording chat, she's just enjoyable. So I'm super happy to introduce her to you. Petia is an alignment women's coach who guides women to intuitively connect with their inner vision so they can experience personal and professional magnetism and become unapologetically abundant. So I love those words, intuitive, unapologetically abundant. Her mission is to empower visionaries who are on the path to embody their fullest true self-expression, to soulfully expand into a quantum leap in all dimensions of their life. Petia gives immense clarity, plus the exact steps to unlock women's divine feminine and abundance mindsets. Through her subconscious work as a certified breathwork facilitator, Reiki, neurolinguistic programming, and human design practitioner, she leads her 6- and 7-figure clients to their next level in life and business. So it's not one or the other, it's life and business. If she's not interviewing fellow experts on her podcast, Unapologetically Abundant, she's traveling the world with her husband, hosting retreats, and reading. And you can also find her in nature, disconnecting from the world and connecting even deeper to herself. So all of that just makes Petia super interesting to me. And with that, let us welcome Petia to the podcast. Hi, Petia.
Hi, Sarah. That is such a beautiful intro. And I love how you weed in your essence. And it's so beautiful. I don't think I've been ever called enjoyable. That's really beautiful. Thank you.
Well, that's my opinion, and that's what counts. In this moment, I think you're enjoyable. You say, though, that your goal is to help us reimagine our lives and let go of thoughts and our behaviors that undermine us so that we can be renewed and live fulfilled and emerge as ourselves. So, that's all about the No Labels, No Limits podcast philosophy. So, of course, I would find you super interesting and engaging. But let's start with this question. What actually inspired you to do the work that you do today? Did you always know you wanted to do this?
Not at all. And I love that question because so very often when women ask me how did you know what to do? And for me, it was through doing and through seeing the contrast, because in my life, I became the one that I needed on my journey. I became the hope, the inspiration, the motivation that I needed because I didn't have someone like that throughout my journey. When I was going through my personal hardships, I didn't have no one to really lean on who would bring me the hope. So I became that for my clients.
So talk more about that. What was your journey? I mean, if you had to be your own leader, which now you can do for your clients, there's always a beginning point at which we get a click. It's oh my God, I can't do this way of life anymore, or this needs to change, right? There's some moment at which we decide. Mm-hmm. But what was your decision point, Petia?
I feel like there was a lot of little things sprinkled a lot around my journey. So I could really see I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live like this anymore. And I feel for me, it was shown little by little because, I grew up in a very small town in Czech Republic, hence that's my unpronounceable name and my accent is from.
It's not unpronounceable. Okay, I'm making up words now. It's not hard to pronounce. We just have to practice a little.
I love that. I love your optimism. I really do, Sarah. So, like I was growing up in a lot of scarcity, and I don't mean poverty. Poverty and scarcity are two very different things, but a lot of scarcity of not enough time, not enough love, and feeling like that I don't belong. Everybody was comparing themselves with others. There was a lot of competition. And so I just felt very unsafe in where I was growing up, how I was growing up, which led into trying to shrink myself, not be seen, not being heard mentally, physically. I was battling with eating disorder for almost 2 decades. When I was 18, I ran away from home, toxic relationship, not very safe environment again. I didn't know any better, but that led me into attempt to suicide. And so I was going through these dark points of my life, and I felt like I was always running. So I ran away from home, then I walk away from my country, moved to London, moved to Spain, moved to United States, and it just never felt fulfilled. I was thinking that when I do this and when I have this, then I will be happy. So living in a wonderland. And when I was approaching to be almost 30 years old, I was again feeling that heaviness, that depression, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this. And so I started to search for help. And this is over a decade ago. So back then it wasn't as easy as having so many podcasts and so many influencers and people helping online. So back then I was just looking for help and looking on YouTube and asking Uncle Google, how to be happy, how to stop suicidal thoughts and all these things. And thankfully, I found the Louise Hay and all of her beautiful publishing company. She is the one who brought me the hope. She became my online mentor, and she taught me about self-love and how to respect myself. And there is nothing wrong with me, and it's not too late. And, through her, there were so many other authors like Dr. Wayne Dyer and Dr. Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Gabby Bernstein, and all these people helped me literally brainwash myself. So I don't listen to the doubts, to the inner critic, but I was listening to my heart and those who were sprinkling the world with the possibilities. So that's how my life really started to shift and turn over, like a decade ago, when I realized that life can be better.
So, and I want to point out that you said it's been over a decade. And I think there's a fallacy and definitely a misconception about how quickly change happens, right? It happens in these little incremental bits. And then you don't realize that that's not a challenge for you anymore, because now you've gone on and you're dismantling other lies, right? And you're just going, oh no, this is possible for me. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying that not for you per se, but for our listeners to remember that it's a journey. And we don't get there by just saying, oh, I want this to be different tomorrow. It can be, but you have to keep moving in that direction, which it sounds like you have done and gone deeper and deeper. So contrast that. And then I want to come back and get into more of the nuts and bolts, like how you do it and that kind of thing. But now, so you were you were doing your geographics, right? We call things will be better when I move here or do this, right? Our literal or figurative geographics. So contrast the many moves and changes you thought that would bring about change for you to the life you live today. What's it look like today for you?
Oh, it's so wild when I look like how I'm living today, because literally now I'm living the things that I prayed for and dreamed about, that I didn't even know that we can have, because I was thinking you can either have this or that, but not this and that, right? So I get to learn that. So now we are living with my husband, my beloved husband, in a beautiful home. It literally looks like a castle here in Tulum, Mexico. And I am having a business that truly fulfills me. It doesn't feel like work. I work with women who are here to help others, impact others, inspire others. And I'm being, like the change that I wanted to see in the world, literally, like Gandhi says, and it's so beautiful when I look around and feel the freedom and to know that being myself, it's enough. So all the lies that I used to believe, the stories that I created about myself, I was able, like you said, to dismantle them and create a life that it's true to me. So I can now, I work like 2-3 days a week. And we have created multiple six figures online coaching business, doing what I truly love and hosting retreats. And my podcast, it's, top 2% globally podcast that I have over 4 years. And it is beautiful. And, like looking from here, and I told you, like I'm in a different time zone. So I'm like, future looks really bright. And it does when you can stand up for yourself and truly realize that you came here to be you. Like you're the missing puzzle piece. You're the one that you've been searching for.
So that's one of the things that you offer and guide the women you work with to obtain, right? Being able to embody that, not just intellectually know it, but to actually own it and embody it, right?
Yes.
How do you do that? How do you help unlock our divine feminine and our abundance mindsets as women?
I love that question. And, throughout my journey, because, I have my business for 6 years now, throughout my journey, I work with, hundreds of women, and I realized like what are the common patterns and the journey to really take them on. So I created something called Soulful Ascension Journey, where I take women on a different ascensions, different awakenings throughout their life, depending on where they are. But the first step to awakening starts with you. You gotta know who you are. You gotta look at the past. You gotta release the limiting beliefs, the labels, and truly step into your truth. You can do that only when you understand yourself. So in that first stage, I help them through a different modalities like neuro-linguistic programming, with Reiki, with breathwork, with Kundalini activations, with human design. So you can truly come back to yourself to understand who you came here to be. When you know who you are and you're feeling grounded and secure and like, I know who I am, right? You don't have to even think about it. You embody that version of you. Then we step into the second stage of awakening, and that's you with the world. When you know who you are, now you know that you are here to serve. Well, what is your way? What kind of life you want to live? How do you want to build it? Most of my clients who come to me, they have their businesses. Some of them, they're still in work and they love what they do. Many of them, they have businesses because they know they came here to be the leader, the example, or the embodiment of the possibilities. So I help them to monetize this part. Now, when you know who you are, now you're magnetic to your people. So very often we come to life and we are trying to please everyone and be everything for everyone. That's a very confusing energy to put out there. And you cannot be magnetic to money or to opportunities because you're not true to who you are. So first, you know who you are, then you know who you want to be working with. How do you want to live your life? So I help them, with the time strategies, boundaries, how to build your business, social media, promotions, marketing. I have, MBA in business and marketing that I've been doing for years in corporate before I became coach. So I use those to help my clients to build a life and business that is true to them. And then we get into the third part, and that's what you kind of asked. The divine and the feminine, how do we step into that? But you can step into that when you know who you are, when you know that you are serving and that you are creating a legacy. Then we step more into the connection you with the divine. Whatever you believe in, God, universe, source, it really doesn't matter. No labels, right? We don't have to label it. There is an energy bigger than us. And that's your time to connect, to go back into that primal, into that trust, because you're already feeling safe in your body, you're feeling safe in your life. We build that foundation. Now you're feeling safe to connect something bigger than it's you and make it your routine and make it a part of your everyday life.
I'm going to back up just a little bit because that was a lot of super great information. So you start with the foundational, the past, the lies, the limiting, all of that stuff. You clean that up, then embody who you want to be, who you're here to be, created to serve, and then connecting to your spiritual, the higher plane, whatever people label it, correct?
Yes.
Where do people typically get stuck in that journey?
It's a beautiful question, and I feel you're stuck when you believe you're stuck. I don't believe I'm ever stuck. I always feel like there is opportunities, and obstacles that we can change into opportunities. But I don't feel like there is stuckness unless you believe you're stuck, unless you don't trust and have a faith that even if you're not moving as fast as you would like, they're like, oh, I'm stuck. This is not moving as I want to. Like, I cannot go any further. Like, if you have those beliefs, that's what will get you into the feeling of being stuck, but you are never stuck. I truly believe that there is a divine plan and divine timing, and it's happening for us. And trust me, like sometimes I wish things would be happening faster for me too. And then I'm like, Petia, pause, breathe. It's okay. It doesn't have to be your way, because I feel like sometimes when the things don't go our way, it doesn't go like we plan, it's because there is a bigger plan.
I do too. And sometimes if you look backwards, you're thinking, thank God it didn't go the way I wanted it to, right? Because it never would have been this way, or I would have created all this extra junk,
So many times, Sarah, there are so many times I'm grateful for the things that did not happen. So many times in my life, in my business, in my relationships, in the things that I thought that I should be doing, right? Or sometimes we get like stuck into that I could do this.
So what do you ask yourself or help your clients ask themselves? So when we get that, I should do this, I could do this, what's the reframe on that? Because it's not necessarily feeling stuck. For me, I would say that's more of like this pressure. If I don't do this, it's a comparison issue somewhere along the line. But how do you help us get through that?
Mm-hmm. That's a really powerful question. And it really depends, because I look also always on my human design, on my clients on their human design, because each design has a different way how we see the world, how we are treated by the world. So there are 5 different designs. So I look at that so I can help them to be aligned with their truth and with their purpose, But like generally speaking, if I wouldn't know someone's human design and you just meet me and share with me like your story, there would be just things that I would like ask, like, why do you believe? Because again, it goes to the beliefs. Why do you believe that you should do this? It's like, and there you go, like 7 layers deeper. But why? Like, oh, I should do this because I need money. Okay. Why do you need money? Well, because I need to pay my rent. Why do you need to pay my rent? Well, because my husband is not working. Why your husband is not working? Why do you think that you are responsible? And it goes like so much deeper, because when we answer the question, it's like so superficial and what's on our mind. It goes so much deeper. And when we can go deeper, people really realize that so very often the shoots are not even theirs. It's their parents, it's their grandparents. It's like very ancestral, deep within us. And is that really your truth? And if it's not, like, does it really matter? There's like this saying, like, if you have like 6 months to live, would you still do all the things you're doing?
That's such a great question.
So many of us don't. But listen, how do you know you will be here next week? I don't.
We don't know we'll be here tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah. So we are so worried about like, oh, I should do this and that. And I'm not telling anyone like with your job and, like go lay in a hammock on the beach. Like that's a beautiful way to live. And, we can get to that place without like throwing everything into the wind. And it's really like when there are the shoots like, oh, I should go to the gym. Well, I can go to the gym. And it's a different energy. It's empowering energy. You don't have to do anything, really. It's a choice. And when you see these things as a choice, you're empowered instead of dragging your booty to whatever you think you should be doing.
Well, and I think that's the power of like your training and your knowledge in NLP, right? The words we use matter. They matter more to us almost than anybody else.
Yes,
because we're always talking to ourselves one way or the other.
Absolutely. Whether we say it out loud or not, it really does. And it's so fascinating how people are unconsciously making themselves victims, like, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could go, and I cannot afford this. And like, this really sucks. I'm like, really? Like, what are you declaring? Oh my gosh. I remember one time I had a very dear client of mine, and she was going through some scarcity, like she quit her corporate job and she started her business. And it was just the very beginning of her business. And she messaged me and she said, Petia, I don't have money to pay you in 5 days. So her payment was like automatically monthly. I'm like, wow. So you just declared to the universe that in 5 days you make no money. Seriously? You know what I mean? Like the things we declare, like, it's a good heart and goodwill that she's trying to communicate clearly. And you just declared that in 5 days you make more money. How do you know that? Like for me, it's like my belief is the less I work, the more money I make. And I meet my soulmate clients everywhere I go, which is true for me. I go to the restaurants, I go to the bathroom. Like, you know how many clients I met in events in the bathrooms or a grocery store? It's like, for me, my soulmate clients are everywhere. I get hired, a few times from a podcaster who was interviewing me because I have the belief that wherever I go, the money comes. I thrive, I make impact. So if you tell me that, oh, like I cannot afford it or I cannot do this, I'm like, you just declared it.
Yeah.
That's when people get stuck. Right?
No, it's true. No, that's why I asked the question, because it's so subtle. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to overlook.
Yes.
Because we just automatically say stuff. And the more I listen to myself and to other speech, the more I'm going, yeah, that's not going to get you where you said you wanted to go.
No. And the beautiful thing is asking yourself, when you have, and listen, we all have that, like thoughts in our mind, in a critic, mean girl, right? It's there. So you get to be very intentional and very aware of yourself and your thoughts, and you get to ask yourself, am I creating what I truly desire? Would I want more of this? So when you're saying like, oh, I'm not good enough and I cannot do this and I won't be able to pay my rent, whatever, do you really want to like create this? Do you really want more of this? If not, great. Use this as a contrast. Well, what do you want instead? We can shift it and change it.
Well, and you've used multiple times the word decide or choose. And that's the key. Mm-hmm. It's easier sometimes to just put it off on someone else. Like, well, if they do this, then blah, blah, blah. But the truth is we get to decide.
Absolutely. When you decide and declare, nobody can waver you. It's like, there's so many decisions we get to do throughout the day. I don't remember the crazy number, but there were like tens of thousands of decisions that we are doing every day, And the thing is that when you declare and decide something, you don't have to think about it anymore. Like if you ask me, Sarah, like, hey, do you want a cigarette? No, I don't smoke, right? I don't have to think about it. It's a no. Do you want to go to steakhouse tonight? No, I'm vegan, so I'm not going to go to the steakhouse, right? So I don't have to be deciding it. I know who I am. And that's why I have less decision making and I have more energy to choose to what I really desire, because I don't have to even the simple things of preparing your clothes or food the one day ahead of time. I have a chef here in Mexico. She comes and cooks for us 2-3 times a week. I don't have to think about what to do for dinner or lunch. I just heat it up. I don't have to be 3 hours in a kitchen in a day and wondering, right? Like, take out of the decisions that are not meaningful so you can really focus your energy to what does mean to you something.
That's fabulous. My shorthand for myself sometimes is like, how could I make this more simple? Oh, right. Yes. Am I how complicated are you making it, Sarah? Just sometimes it's fun to make things complicated because your brain likes to work on stuff. But honestly, how can I make this more simple?
I love that. And I will adopt that because I love simplicity and ease, So, and I feel like I'm really great in spotting the patterns. And that's why my clients love working with me, because I always believe we are inside of the bottle. and there is a label, and you cannot read it from inside out. So when we have mentors, coaches, and people that we can trust and love, they can read the label to us. They can help us, so I love that. How can I make this easier? How can I make it more simple? Love that. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, that's a little joke I do on myself. It's kind of like,
okay. Tonight, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, do it. And then let me know how it goes. I want to ask you a question about your podcast. Then I want you to share a little bit more about your services, because when I looked at them, I thought they're really cool. And I think I have a feeling that there are multiple people who are going, oh, I've been waiting to hear about this, right? So, but first, random question about your podcast. Who has been recently one of your favorite guests?
That
or
is
topic?
Amazing question. Let me fill into that. It's not that I feel like it's not a recent, it's not like a recent guest, but last year I had Nicole Lepera, the holistic psychologist, and like her teaching about like traumas in childhood and how it is still impacting us and how we still like act as the little kid. I feel like that is very impactful because every single person can really relate to that. Men, women, like we all have that inner child who wasn't tended to because we were not taught how to do that. So I feel like that was a really amazing episode for me.
Thank you. Okay, so talk us through, I know you have different customized things you can do, but when I go onto your website, you've got different options. Talk to us about your different packages. And I rarely ask people to do this, but for you, when I read it, I'm thinking it's so experiential and sensual, sensory ridden, right?
I love that, Sarah. Thank you so much. I love that that's how you felt. So for me, like you said, I work in different ways. However, what I love doing, it's working one-on-one. That's what really, really, really lights me up. So I have like VIP days, VIP experiences. I have mastermind retreats. We just hosted 3 retreats here in Tulum, Mexico. We finished our mastermind last week, which was part of, we did Soulful Success Experience. That was online summit. We published a book and we made a mastermind with it too. How to create a soulful success in your life and business. I feel like those two so important. And like when I work with women, there are many different modalities that we cover today, like the inner child healing, the NLP, the breath work, all of that is very somatic. All of that goes back into your body, back into your truth. And then I can work with like neuro-linguistical programming, human design, which is more like heady, but I start in the body. So that's how I work with women. Like, my clients, even if they work with me online, they love coming to anything in person because it always expand their possibilities, abundance. It's, for me, I feel like it's priceless.
Well, I think for our listeners, I would recommend that you go on and check out, and the links will be in the show notes. So don't worry about that or how to spell it or blah, blah, blah. But I would recommend you check it out because it'll give you an idea of the breadth of help. And help's not the word I'm looking for. Guidance maybe is a better mentorship guidance that is available through Petia in particular. And I think it's a gift to ourselves to go, here's the realm of possibilities. And you've listened to Petia talk already about like speaking into who you want to be and how you want to be. So if you see something there you like, just say, oh man, yeah, I'll be working with Petia, and just state it as true. Petia, but I know that you said you have a little gift for our listeners if they will connect with you. Do you remember that?
Couple gifts. So can you please remind me which one? I'm like,
yes. Well, it's actually, let me click on it and just double check. I know when you
open up the gift for you.
Let me double check that all. It's so funny because I think about it. I've been asked that when I've been interviewed by other people. I'm thinking, could you give me a clue? Like when I forget my password, would you like a clue? Always. Give me a clue. Let me see what we got. Manifest money effortlessly, the mindset makeover time module.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Love it. That's my favorite. That's a part of my money course, because I feel like there's so many good people with a great heart, and they can make so much impact, and they don't know how to call in the abundance. So in that module, I'm really teaching them how to create the relationship with money and how to create rituals and strategies to create even more abundance. Because when I started to practice what is in this gift, I literally 10 times my income, and it was easy. Sarah, I like it easy.
I think we've established we both do. Let's keep it easy, simple, easy. So listeners, the link directly to get into there is in the show notes. Just click it. It will open the page. It's a $97 value, and Petia has given you 100% of it off. So go in and grab it. It's super simple to grab. I'm going to grab it just because I always like to know a little bit more about what's what. And then any final thoughts, Petia, before we sign off of this particular episode?
I just really love what you stand for, no label, no limits. And I feel that the moment that we really remember who we truly are, everything else becomes so much easier, because you will be supported from the whole universe. So just really become you. And that is why you came here.
Okay. Well, with that, my lovely No Labels, No Limits podcast community, be sure to share this episode with someone else, a friend, a colleague, anyone you know who you think would just light up from learning what Petia has shared with us today. And if you haven't already joined our community by liking and subscribing to the podcast, or being on our website to sign up so you get noticed from the behind the scenes things that we do, please be sure to do that. And in the meantime, before we see you next week, I want to say that we appreciate you walking alongside us and everybody else who's on the journey to living a no labels, no limits life.
You've been listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author, change agent, and strategic vision coach, Sarah Box. You can grab the show notes and find out how to work with Sarah at sarahbox.com/No Labels, No Limits podcast. We'd love this podcast to reach as many people as possible. So please remember to rate, leave a 5-star review, and share the podcast with someone you think would get value from this conversation. Until next time, keep taking those daily action steps to align your purpose to your principles and achieve your goals in business and life.